If you start saving 25% of how much you make, you'll be able to retire in 32 years. If you start saving 50% of how much you make, you'll be able to retire in 15 years. Hey everyone, Ariel here. So how to live frugally and achieve financial independence? How much do you need? I'll share my story and the golden calculation so you can achieve your financial independence too. I'm a very different person from the older generation of my family. I grew up in a culture and education where my parents and grandparents all told me the same story, which is to study hard and get a good job. They want me to work for a Fortune 500 company for my entire life and retire when I'm 60 and then call it a life. That's what they consider successful. So ever since I was little, that has been my life's blueprint. In 2011, I was 21 years old. I was a poor student living in Austin, studying electrical computer engineering. I had to find money and pay through college myself through part-time jobs and student loans. When I graduated, my heart told me that I want to be in California. I'm not sure why, it just seems to be a voice in my heart for a long time. So before I graduate, I've been looking for jobs in California. In 2012, I graduated. I was really fortunate to find a job in California, so I moved here. For my first job, I had an IT analyst title, but my job was doing enterprise architecture. In case you don't know what that is, I also don't. I'm still figuring that out today, even though I've been working for corporate for over 10 plus years. Back then, my job basically is as simple as enterprise architect will tell me what to draw and I will use an application to draw it for them. I feel like I'm a painter. The typical painters you can imagine are like Van Gogh, where he would come up with what to draw and he would paint it himself. But for enterprise architecture modeling job, which was my IT analyst title job, is different. My main job is to be in meetings with enterprise architect and they will tell me what to draw. I draw it out for them. I often wonder, how come they just don't draw it themselves? And is this job really necessary? With all these doubts, I've become very insecure about the job because that was my first job and I don't have any background or experience, so I had to just kind of take it day by day. However, when I go to work, I often see a lot of coworkers have like this blind look or hopelessness expression on their face. Sometimes I find them just staring out the window for a long time. I often wonder, are they also worried about their job? Are they bored? After I worked for the corporate myself for over 10 plus years, I learned that the brutal truth is many jobs are like that. In a big corporate, it's easy to lose track of what each and everyone is working on. Even harder to impossible to make sure that every employee's work life is fulfilled and with a meaning. So often we see the normal corporate world is like 30% of the time we will do the actual work, 30% of the time we will try to look busy, and the rest of the time we disappear. I see sometimes they just go out for maybe a meeting and then I don't know where they went and there goes your 8-hour day. I guess it's good for people who just want to collect paycheck and support your family, but I often feel our job is not just to make a paycheck. We spend at least 8 hours a day at our work. So that's 1/3 of our day already. I found that it needs to be meaningful. Even though it pays me, but I still want to do something that is contributing to the company's success or contributing to the society. I want to add value instead of just being a body without a soul, if you know what I mean. As I work longer and longer years in corporate, I've learned that we rather choose to avoid pain rather than seeking pleasure. So would you call a meaningless work painful? I think it's painful when I don't find meaning in the work. Or I know that it's going to a wrong direction, but I have to listen. Whenever I have the urge to feel like I want to quit or this is too painful to bear, I would go on a trip. I would go back to my home country, which is a small town in China. In the winter, we will have people who are selling vegetables on the street. Actually, all year long, we have people who are selling vegetables on the street. But especially in the winter, it's so cold, but they still need to be outdoor and make so little money just to make ends meet. Whenever I see that, I come back and feel more okay with my meaningless job. At least I work in an office where there's heater in the winter and AC in the summer and unlimited coffee. But this didn't stop me. I often question, is this a fulfilling life? And the answer each time is no. I started wondering out of this norm and what my parents and grandparents tell me is a successful life and start asking myself, what is the life I want to live? The answer is I want to live a life with choices and freedom. In order to get there, I need financial freedom because money brings more choices. My financial independence dream first solidified when I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad in 2011. It opened a whole new world for me. I've learned that there's not only one way to live life, and I actually get to choose how I want to make money. I don't necessarily have to work until I'm 60. Life is how I want it to be. My heart started to beat faster and faster as these imagery came out on how my dream life would be. I get to run around with my dogs on the grass. I get to travel to Seoul, Tokyo, Shanghai, Paris, wherever I want to, and live there however way I want to. As these imageries flash through, I realize that's the life I want. I don't want to be kept in one place because I have a job, make a set amount of money every month just to make ends meet. I want to have the freedom, live wherever I want. With all these imagery, I get more and more excited. I decide to pick up the pen and notebook to write down my plan on reaching my financial freedom. I feel like I'm a naturally born project manager. I seem to be able to come up with milestones that are reachable with timelines. So I did that. Here are the 4 steps. It's actually very simple. The first one is just save. To reach financial freedom is really how much money do you spend and how much money you save. If you keep spending 100% or more of how much you make, you will never retire. If you start saving 25% of how much you make, you'll be able to retire in 32 years. If you start saving 50% of how much you make, you'll be able to retire in 17 years. If you save 70% of how much you make, you'll retire in 8.5 years. Saving money actually don't come natural to me. You might find that kind of funny because usually Asian families, we're known for frugalness and saving money, but I grew up with my mom and she never really cared about money, so I was not naturally developed into that style. But when I go to college, I really have to develop it because I don't even have money to pay for next month's rent. I had to save money by cutting all the expenses and trying to make more money. I still remember every Tuesday, Little Caesars Pizza have a deal. Large pepperoni is only $5. I would buy it and eat it for the entire week. And I would pick up the $1 McDonald's and all the cheap coupon food I can find in college to make it through the years. After I found my first job, I also did the same way to save more money so that I was able to buy my first primary home at age 22 in California. It was a cheap house, very far away from San Jose and the Silicon Valley, so that's why it was affordable. And also I get the FHA loan, which is only eligible for first-time home buyers. That's a 3.5% down payment, so it came out to be a few $1,000s. Step 2, make more money. This might be different from the other financial freedom videos or articles you read because a lot of them tell you to save and cut back expenses. That's kind of it. What's also equally important is how much more money you can make and have your money make money for you. The way I live life is to treat every day as if it's my last. We all don't know when we will die, so I don't want to be regret of anything when I die. That's why I don't want to lower my life's quality to the point that it's uncomfortable for me just to cut back on expenses. So I choose to pick the route of making more money. Besides my full-time job, I also pick up lots of side hustles. I also walk dogs and do DoorDash delivery. I sell houses as a real estate agent, and recently I just picked up a new license to do mortgage loan. Since I've already quit my full-time job now, so I plan to go all in on the mortgage business and just do that as my primary job going forward. What I'm trying to get at is figure out what else you can do besides your main job to pick up some extra income. The more money you make, the more money you can put aside to save. What I've done is whenever I've saved enough to make a down payment for a house, I buy a house. And that's why I'm able to collect about 5 investment properties now. For my investments, I follow the approach of consistency and long term. I like to take the conservative and also the lazy route for my real estate investments. So I usually buy the turnkey properties, buy it and rent it out. When I buy the property, I make sure that the expenses I have to pay, including mortgage, insurance, tax, is all covered by the rent paid by the tenant, so that after I pay off my loan in 15 or 30 years, the house is mine. On the stock side, I'm going very simple and just invest in S&P 500. Every month on the 15th, I would invest the same amount of money each month to the same index. And I only do the index because I don't want to follow the trend of individual stocks and do the short-term buy and sell. That costs me too much anxiety and time. 401k and Roth IRA. When I used to work for corporate companies, I would contribute to my 401k to the maximum percentage that the company matches. For Roth IRA, max it out based on your income limit. Step 3. Turn high interest debts into low interest debts. I'm always on the lookout for what can bring down interest I pay on the debts. So debts is not necessarily a bad thing. Using low interest debts as a leverage to make more money is a smart investment route. For my case, I have houses that have equity. I would do these cash out refi where I take out the equity to either buy more investments or pay down my high interest debts such as medical bills or student loans. Never accumulate credit card debts. Never finance anything you cannot afford. And step 4, which is the easiest step, is to just wait. Let the market do its thing. Especially since 2010, the market has been going up whether it's real estate or stock. Even though we all know that the market goes up and down, but if you start investment early, you can always ride it out. For my real estate investments, I don't invest in them unless I know that the rent I get to collect every month will cover all of the expenses I have to pay. This way, in 30 years, my tenants pay off all of my principal and I get the house for free. As the time passes, you'll know that you reach your financial freedom if your investment portfolio has reached 25x of your annual spending, which means if you spend $60K a year, you'll consider financial freedom if you have 1.5 million invested. And if your spending is 100K per year, you'll consider to have reached financial freedom if you have 2.5 million invested. Of course, this is only a rule of thumb. The detailed calculation depends on your investment's return. I was able to reach financial freedom a year ago. Had I continued to choose to live frugally in Sacramento, I don't have to ever work again. However, my heart calls me to go back to the Bay Area. So I just recently purchased a very expensive house. All the houses here are expensive. I don't have a choice. So I have to work again. I already have the foundation, resource, and the knowledge to build up my wealth. So I know I'll be there again soon. You know, when I first told my friends I want to reach financial freedom by age 30 and retire, a lot of them asked me why. And some of them even kind of laugh at me because they're like, so what would you do after you retire? And why are you so lazy? Actually, it's not about lazy or you have nothing to do. It's really just back to freedom. Having the power to choose my life. In the end, it's not retirement. It's a new beginning. A new beginning that I chose every day when I wake up. I look forward to it. Okay, that's my journey on how I have reached financial freedom and the steps to get there. If you are also on this route and found this information any helpful to you, please smash that like button. It really helps me a lot. I often do these financial chats in my channel. If these contents interest you, please subscribe to my channel. Hopefully I'll get richer and richer every day. Take care guys. See you in the next video. Bye bye.